Oh, right, John McCain picked a VP. And I'll tell you what, nobody saw that coming. I didn't see it coming. John McCain shocks the world. Doesn't pick Romney or Lieberman or Palin. He picks Sarah Palin, the governor of Alaska. You know she's obscure when I had to look up exactly how to pronounce her name. Had I heard of her before? Yes. Had I done research on her before? Yes, on the off chance that she gets to be selected VP. But I'd never even seen her on TV. I'd never even heard anybody pronounce her name. Man, you want to talk about obscure? That's obscure. Now, having said that, there is a lot of criticism coming down John McCain's way for this pick. You might be shocked to find out that I am not one of those people. I don't think that this is necessarily a bad pick. I think Sarah Palin checks off a lot of boxes. It's an interesting and bold choice by John McCain, and I'm not sure that I disagree with it. Now, it has one, of course, critical possible flaw, and that is her tremendous lack of experience. And that might lead people to get turned off and say, well, I don't know, man. John McCain's 72 years old. By the way, Friday's his birthday. Happy birthday, big guy. He's 72. And, of course, all the Democrats have been talking about is this little-known woman is a heartbeat away from the presidency. Wink. Okay? Not too subtle. Now, here's the thing. 2 years ago, Sarah Palin is running a little town in Alaska called Wasilla. It reminds me of Washington. Okay, Wasilla. As far as I understand, there's 6,500 people in that town. She's the mayor. 2 years ago, she's the mayor of a town of 6,500 people. Now, she's a heartbeat. She could be. I hope it's not she is. She could be a heartbeat away from the presidency. So that's the obvious, enormous, possible flaw in this pick. Okay? But let me tell you the interesting parts of it and the ones that are positive for John McCain. One, she's a young, dynamic woman. Obviously, he's trying to reach out to some Hillary Clinton supporters, and he's not going to get anyone that picks based on policy because the policy beliefs of Governor Palin are diametrically opposed to those of Senator Hillary Clinton. But a lot of people pick based on superficialities. So they say, all right, well, you know what? She's a woman. I'm a woman. Maybe the Republicans can get this thing done. And we're going to put more cracks in that glass ceiling, as she said today when she was introduced. Number two, she's very attractive. She would be by far the most attractive VP we've ever had. No offense, Mr. Mondale or Mr. Cheney. Okay. In fact, she won a couple of, I think was she runner-up Miss Alaska? We're going to have to look into her bio a little bit more. She was in the Miss Alaska contest, and she did rather well. That's a picture of her when she was younger. How do you do, Governor Palin? Nice to meet you. Now, you're going to say, what the hell difference does that make? If you're asking me, of course it doesn't make any difference to me. I'm not going to pick somebody based on how they look. I could care less. But a lot of Americans do. Let's get real. So politically, that's a slight benefit for John McCain. Number three, seems like it's a young, energetic pick, given that McCain seems so stodgy and older. This is a more recent picture of her if you're watching on theyoungturks.com. And one that doesn't even really do her justice, but we got more for you where that came from. She does look very good. So that's energy, young, vibrant, etc. That's point number three as to why that might be good. Now let's get a little bit more substantive. She has done, in her 2 years in Alaska, which isn't very much, as governor, she's done some things that are interesting. She has balanced her budget, and she has, I won't say by all accounts, but by most accounts, done a pretty effective job of running Alaska. On top of that, you know what she did? She raised the rates on oil companies for drilling in Alaska, and thereby getting the people of Alaska more money and fighting the oil companies. So there you look at that and you go, that's a pretty attractive, qualification. Or if you're looking at people that are going to be a VP, and it's certainly different than what you would get from a normal Republican. And speaking of which, she's a union member, and her husband, who is either a fisherman or an oil rig worker, I've seen both now. We're going to figure out what the hell he actually does. very much a diehard union supporter. So it's not your standard Republican. Now, having said that, the other advantage, I don't know, what are we up to, 5 or 6 now of Sarah Palin, is the conservative base loves her. Why? She is adamantly pro-life. Very much a conservative, evangelical Republican. And I should say that the evangelical community is smitten with her. And they are ecstatic about this choice. Now, if you ask them, hey, wait a minute, now, she doesn't seem to have much experience. They don't give a damn. You think the Christian right cares about competence or experience? They're like, hey, listen, you sign on to our agenda, and I don't care if you're 3 years old. I'm going to put you in there to try to get some more pro-life justices. And she promises that, oh boy, if she ever got in charge, believe me, there'd be pro-life justices. She has an appealing family story. She's got 5 kids. The last one they found out had Down syndrome before she delivered. She had the baby anyway. You know, very appealing to evangelicals, but also quite appealing to most Americans. She used to play point guard in high school. So now you're saying, Jay, my God, you're making a case for Sarah Palin. But the thing is, look, I got to be objective here. That's her, the one standing up. It's kind of a fun picture. I got to be objective here. I don't think it's that bad a choice. Yeah, and I know what all the Democrats are saying now. They're going crazy, saying, oh, my God, she's got no experience. This country bumpkin, Joe Biden in the debate is going to eat her alive. And he might. And he might. But I've now, before we did the show, I went and looked back at a number of times that Sarah Palin was on television and basically doing appearances, and I watched her speech tonight, or I should say on Friday, and I got to tell you, she doesn't look dumb. She looks pretty well put together. She speaks well. She sounds smart. People are saying, hey, is this another Dan Quayle pick? So far, I'd have to say no. And right now, some people got to be thinking, what the hell got into Jang? Nothing. I'm telling you, I think it's an interesting pick. Think about it. Think about it. What were his choices? His choices were to pick, what, Mitt Romney? Nobody likes Mitt Romney. That would have been a terrible choice. He could have picked Joe Lieberman. Maybe the only politician in the country more dislikable than Mitt Romney. He could have picked Tim Pawlenty, who is the governor of Minnesota, but he ain't done squat either, okay? He's got nothing on his record. And at least Sarah Palin can point to, hey, listen, you know, I fought the oil companies, and she was for ethics reform. Now, that wound up changing a little bit. I'll tell you about that in a second. But Pawlenty is like the Evan Bayh of the Republican Party. Plain, white, boring, vanilla. None of these picks were inspiring. Here, at least, McCain gave it a shot. And some people are saying it's desperate because it's kind of a long shot. I don't think it necessarily means desperate. I think he thinks he picked the best person. Now, I'm going to tell you some of her downsides in a second, too. By the way, this Vogue cover that you're seeing on theyoungturks.com is part of what propelled her onto the national scene, which is a goofy way to get onto the national scene. But when you see her substance, I think it's not that bad. And some people said they were worried that if she is such a right-winger, when she got into office, she would, run the government of Alaska as a very right-wing ideological person, and apparently she hasn't. She's, for example, very much against gay marriage, but she did allow some gay rights benefits to go to government employees under her watch. So a little pragmatic as well.